Okay, hello. So this is the answers for the pop quiz for the drug discovery module. Okay, you probably got the worksheet last week or on Monday or either today. So here are the answers for it. Let's look at question one. Which of the following is an inappropriate criteria for drug discovery? So this is the drug discovery stage. So you got to really understand what they're asking for at that particular point. We do target selectivity. We definitely need to find out what the drug is going to target in the body. So that is a must. Suitable for oral, once daily dosing. When you're developing a drug, we do need to understand how it's going to be delivered. Is it oral or is it by infusion? That means direct to the blood. Or it could also mean it could also be drugs that are infused nasally, like through the nose, because we've got soft tissues up in our nose that can take in the drug as well. And the advantage of that would be that it bypasses the blood barrier. Okay, so it doesn't go into the blood, but it does get into wherever it needs to through the nose. So this is also determined during drug discovery. The fourth one, structurally unique molecule. When you're discovering the drug, we also need to understand what the drug looks like on a molecular level. So based on that, this is a wrong answer. Unknown efficacy in rodent autoimmune disease models. See, at the drug discovery stage, we're not touching any animals yet, so that would be an inappropriate criteria. Okay, so next question, question two. Which of the following is considered a third tier study? Third tier study basically is referring to phase 3. Okay, and in this, there is a little bit of a problem with the printing over here. Apologies for that extra nonsense there. Okay, so when you look at the options now, third tier, phase 3, let's look at it. Animal model protein binding study. See, phase 3 is already human, so I'm going to cross that one out. Amos mutagenicity study, receptor binding study, dose escalation pharmacokinetic study. Dose escalation means, you see, by the time you get to phase 3, you've already determined the correct dose. So I cannot escalate the dose any further. So I'm going to cross this one out first. Between the mutagenicity and the receptor binding study, receptor binding really just tells you whether it goes for the right cell or not, the right receptor on the cell. This you would have determined much earlier, won't be happening at phase 3, so I'm going to do that. So we are left with the mutagenicity study, which is probably what will happen in the third tier, in the phase 3 study, where we are trying to find out on a big scale of population whether there are any mutating that's going to happen. So the answer for this one will be 1, or rather in this case will be 2. Okay. Question 3. Of all of the following are common in vivo models for pharmacokinetic pharmacodynamic profiling, except, so between monkeys, cats, dogs, we hardly see them in our clinical studies, namely because they're just either way too expensive or way too different from human beings. So they try to use rats more often than anything else. Question 4. Which of the following poses a challenge to oral absorption of drugs? So oral absorption means it goes through the mouth, down the esophagus, and straight into the stomach. And the stomach has got acids and various enzymes that help to break down some molecules. So point is, if your drug goes in and gets broken down into nothing before it reaches the intestines, then we have a problem, because proper absorption of the drug happens only in the intestines. So it needs to ensure that if it's an oral drug, it needs to ensure that it's going to be safe while it's passing through the stomach. So let's see, you want to think about a drug absorption, right? So solubility permeability, and gut and liver enzyme stability. All of them are important. You need it to be soluble because it needs to finally absorb into the bloodstream, because a good 95 or 75 to 95% of our body is fluids. Okay, so we need it to be soluble. Permeability meaning it should be able to diffuse through tissues, and that's how absorption really happens. And then, like I said, gut and liver stability, it needs to not break down into an unknown or an unnecessary particle. So in that case, all of the statements are correct. Which of the following is a physiological factor that influences the oral absorption of a drug? So once again, drugs going through the mouth and through the stomach, right? So gastric emptying rate definitely is a must. Respiratory function is only if it's nasal, only if it's a nasal delivery method. Protein binding, it's not necessarily only for oral absorption, it's for any kind of absorption of a drug. Kidney function, yes, it's important, but it's at the last stage of the drug as it's going to be passing out of the body. So which of the physiological factors influence the oral absorption? I think the best answer is gastric emptying rate. How quickly it gets out of the stomach is very important, because the longer it stays in the stomach, the more it can degrade. Which of the following is a disadvantage to the nasal delivery system? In this case, the answer is actually this one. Avoidance of first pass loss. This is the gut, the stomach acids. We don't have a problem when we are doing nasal delivery. Rapid absorption, it's not a problem at all. Actually, it's rapid absorption only happens once it's direct into the bloodstream. So nasal absorption, like I told you earlier, bypasses the bloodstream altogether, so we don't have this problem. Large surface area, nope. The nose is only that big. Okay, so we do not have a large surface area when we are dealing with nasal delivery system. And but what we can get is irritation, inflammation, or toxicity that will happen with nasal delivery system. Irritation, because some people are just more sensitive in the nose. Inflammation and toxicity, see, anything that sort of like takes care of foreign particles, make sure you don't get inflamed, or make sure you're not getting poisoned by it. All of those molecules are actually present in the blood. The thing about nasal delivery system is that the key factor that they're using the nose is to bypass the blood, so we don't have this problem at all for the nasal delivery system. So we don't have this problem for the blood delivery system, sorry. So in this case, for the nasal delivery system, this is the only problem that we will actually face. We might get irritated and we might get inflammations and toxicity because the blood is not present to take care of this issue. All right, here's the next set of answers. Question 7. An investigational new drug is not required for which of the following? I do need it to start a new drug study. I do need it to start, if I already have a drug, but now I discover that I can actually use it for something else, some other disease, that's also under a new drug investigation. We'll classify it as a new drug altogether. The study is examining a new route of administration. Yep, we do classify that as a new drug investigation as well. So marketing of the drug doesn't need investigational new drug, because by the time you market, it should not be a new drug and you should have a lot of information already. So that was question 7. Question 8. When an investigational new drug application is in effect, what can the sponsor do? So once you have the IND sorted out, you can start work on human beings. None of the rest actually actually matter. It's not about starting studies in animals, because this goes under preclinical. Okay, for preclinical we don't need an IND. Okay, setting the price of the drug, that's much later. Marketing the drug is after phase 3. So the only appropriate answer is B. Which of the following is false regarding the IND safety reporting? I can tell you that only one of them is true over here. That's true, because you definitely need to report fatal or